Thank you for tuning into Tanaka TV, the best and future biggest fight channel on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like, that comment, that subscribe button. We're trying to get to over 1K by the end of the year. Now, I think that's gonna be an easy mark for us to hit. Hopefully, we can get to about 2K subs by the end of the year. That is about my goal, but you know, the sky is the limit for this channel. If we can get to 10K, I don't know. But the bare minimum is 1K by the end of the year. So thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about Brock Lesnar making a potential return to the UFC. More particularly at UFC 300. Now, I'm just going to be honest, people. I'm just going to keep it a buck. Keep it 100. I don't personally like the idea of Brock Lesnar making a return to the UFC at this current point in time. I was never really a huge fan of Brock Lesnar in the UFC. I just thought that his fighting style was just kind of not very efficient. Now, mind you, he did make it to become a UFC heavyweight champion, but that doesn't say a lot, okay? That doesn't say a lot with the standard of where the heavyweight division was at the time of when he became champion. And you might say, "Whoa, hey, well he beat Randy Couture, he beat Frank Mir, he beat Shane Carwin." I get all of that. And I think that beating Randy Couture, I think that beating Frank Mir, those are impressive. I'll put it that way. That's much more than what I previously thought Brock Lesnar was going to do in the UFC. I thought that he was going to be folded by, all of those people that I mentioned. And he did lose to Cain Velasquez. He lost to Alistair Overeem. And that Mark Hunt fight did get overturned to a no contest. As we all know, the UFC lost to Mark Hunt in that crazy case because, Brock Lesnar is on that juice, okay? Which is a whole nother thing when it comes to his return to the UFC. And so I want to also lead that into this next topic. When it comes to Brock Lesnar, who is he going to fight in the UFC heavyweight division currently? Or is he going to fight Aspinall? Because if you're going to have him in the main event at UFC 300, he's going to have to fight a big UFC name. Who is he going to fight? What, Stipe? I don't believe that's a good matchup for Brock Lesnar. He's going to fight Aspinall? That's also not a great matchup for Brock Lesnar. Now, for those who may not have been familiar with Brock Lesnar's style in the UFC, not a great striker, people. Not a great striker at all. He doesn't have a lot of technique in his hands. Barely has any technique when it comes to kicks or anything of that nature. What takes Brock Lesnar to a decent fighter point in my mind is his wrestling. Wasn't Brock Lesnar, he wasn't an all-state wrestler at the very minimum? So he was a good wrestler, a very good wrestler. But I think in today's UFC world, that's not enough to get you to the top. And so him making a quick turnaround back to the UFC, like I said, we're going to have to worry about Brock Lesnar and if he can even piss clean. And who is he going to fight? Because the UFC heavyweight division is not the same division that it was when Brock Lesnar left back in 2016. We're talking about 8 years now. The UFC has evolved tremendously since 8 years ago, okay? We're talking about, like I said, we didn't even know who Aspinall was 8 years ago. Stipe Miocic was in a different stratosphere 8 years ago. You did not have John Jones in the heavyweight division. We're talking about Daniel Cormier, who's come and gone through the UFC since then. Who's he going to fight? Let me look up really quick. Who's in the current UFC heavyweight division. I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anybody, okay, people? Because, like I said, it is a very different environment in the UFC from 8 years ago. I think we've seen some of the biggest evolution in the UFC over the course of the last 10 years. And I'm not sure if Brock Lesnar has been working on his UFC, on his MMA game in the last 8 years. That's a lot of time. And Brock Lesnar is what? While I'm waiting for the stats of what the division, the heavyweight division is like. Let's see. Brock Lesnar is at the age of 46 years old. 46, people. We're not talking about a 32-year-old man, a 35-year-old man, a 40-year-old man. We're talking about 46 years old. He has no more time left. That's all I'm saying, people. That's all I'm saying. So, the UFC heavyweight division. My computer is not working with me right now. Hold on, give me 1 second. So, comment down below, people. While I'm waiting for this, do you think Brock Lesnar has even an inkling of a chance of being successful in the heavyweight division, even if he makes a one-time comeback? Who is he going to fight? We've got John Jones as champ, Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane. He's not beating Gane. We've got Almeida. I don't think he's going to really beat Almeida. He's not beating Sergey. He's not beating Curtis Blades. He's not beating Volkov. Tai Tuivasa, not beating Tai Tuivasa. Derek Lewis, not beating Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is sitting at number 11 right now. So what's he going to do? Who's he going to fight? And if he's fighting, like I said, in UFC 300, he's going to have to fight a big name. And I just think that the heavyweight division has moved past him at this point in time. Especially with Brock Lesnar being at the age of 46 years old. There's not much room. Now, I think, on the other hand, it could be a huge payday for the UFC. It's not even a could. It will be a big payday for the UFC. But where does that put the division? What is that going to do? Is it simply just so that the UFC can get a big dollar for that pay-per-view? Maybe. On the UFC standpoint, I can see why they would want him for one more time. But on a sense of, does it really make sense for the division to allow Brock Lesnar back in? I don't think so. So comment down below, people, what you think about this possible return of Brock Lesnar. Are you a fan of it? Because I'm not sure that I am. I'm just being honest. That's all I've got for you. So thank you for tuning in, people. Don't forget to hit that like, that comment, that subscribe button. Thank you for your support. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.